UFC London. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Main event, Curtis Blaydes, Tom Aspinall. We got a pretty solid card. We're going to talk about each of the matchups. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. Turn on those post notifications and share the video as well. Let's jump into the first one. Matchup between Ľudovít Klein and Mason Jones. I like Mason Jones in this spot. I think he can mix in some takedowns on Ľudovít, put a lot of pressure on him, and limit the really dangerous striking game. Ľudovít Klein is going to be tricky to deal with from range. He's got really powerful kicks. He's a southpaw. He's explosive. He's fast. And I think Mason Jones needs to be cautious standing up. Jones, that pressure style of fighter, does have some pretty solid boxing, and he'll come out quick. And if he hurts you, he's going to really try to put it on you. But I do think he's going to respect the striking game of Ľudovít. For that reason, I expect takedown attempts. I think he's going to look to put Ľudovít against the cage. And then with the threat of the wrestling, I think the boxing for Mason Jones will open up a bit. Still, I think we're going to 3 rounds. I don't think it's a total beatdown here, but I think Mason Jones earns himself a decision in this one and beats Ľudovít Klein, but definitely not an easy fight. Looking at the lines, though, Mason Jones is a giant favorite at -325, Klein +275. Seeing two good strikers like this, two good fighters overall, really guys that come to fight, I think you want to expect finish, but I have a feeling that we're going to go the distance here, and Jones with a bit of a more calculated game to stifle that Klein striking. So I like Mason Jones to start the night off. Next fight of the night, Nicolas Dalby versus Claudio Silva. This is one of those fights where I don't even like the pick on it. Both guys, later in the 30s. But I'm slightly leaning it towards Claudio Silva. I do think there's a chance he can land takedowns or at least get some cage control, find a way to get the fight to the floor. Dalby has the better stand-up, but it's a limited striking game. It's very karate-esque style at times, and then when he gets close, he turns it more into a square boxing stance, and he throws a lot of hooks. I don't think either guy is super dangerous on the feet. Dalby more dangerous and has more of a threat standing up, but on the ground, I think Silva has the clearly better jiu-jitsu. So if he can get positions, I think he can succeed. And his stand-up that Claudio Silva has, southpaw, is an awkward striking style. He has okay overhands. He loops some shots. He'll throw kicks. Doesn't always look super in position, but because opponents know the grappling is there, his stand-up, as awkward at times or not great as it looks, works for him. I think Dalby is going to be competitive. I feel like he could even steal a round here. Feel like we're going distance on a close and spotty split decision. I'm going Claudio Silva, but I really don't like it much. The line is wide, though, towards Dalby, which I was a little bit surprised about. -265, Claudio Silva +246. It's not like Silva's an easy guy to put away. It's not like Dalby's starching people. I'm going Claudio Silva for the win. I'm going to say decision. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a split decision either. Next fight of the night, Mandy Böhm versus Victoria Leonardo. I honestly like the chances that Leonardo has if she can close distance here. I'm slightly leaning her. Böhm, the competition level's not great. She fought over in Bellator. She's fought in some other organizations. Loses to Lipski in the debut. Victoria Leonardo, she looked okay in moments against Melissa Gatto. She had strikes that she landed. She brought some forward pressure. I like her pace. The arm broke in that fight. The girl's really tough. I feel like she's going to put a high pressure and pace on Mandy Böhm here. I feel like Leonardo can steal some rounds. We're looking to control against the cage, maybe mix in some takedowns on a tricky striker in Böhm. She can't get caught from range because the biggest thing is the reach. 70 inches on the Böhm side, 64 on the Leonardo side. I do believe Leonardo will find a way in, and honestly, she doesn't have a bad jab. Obviously, not easy to match up with someone with a significant reach edge, throwing jab for jab, but I think Leonardo will find a way inside and get the win. I think she just brings more pressure and pace, higher intensity, and I see her getting it done. I'm going Leonardo on the scorecards. Looking at the line here, Leonardo is the dog, +136. Böhm, the -144 favorite. I'm riding with Victoria Leonardo for the upset in a competitive decision here. Next fight, Herbert Kyle Nelson. Jai Herbert, even in his loss to Topuria, for me, that like jumped his stock up a bit. He looked dangerous. I like Jai Herbert's chances against Kyle Nelson. I think he's going to pick him apart on the feet. Nelson is a limited striker to me. He's square, a little bit stiff, has powerful hooks and overhands, which are like primary shots, but definitely lacks the distance strikes, doesn't have a flush jab or a money jab really like with much precision on it, whereas Jai Herbert has a pretty solid jab. He's got really dangerous high kicks. He fights well from distance, and he manages range well. Nelson also, he likes to block a lot of his punches rather than move out of the way of shots with those little gloves. I think Jai Herbert will find openings, and I think he's going to do some damage to Kyle Nelson here. I'm banking on Jai Herbert to win, and I'm picking him by knockout. I'm thinking second round KO for him over Kyle Nelson, and it could be earlier too. Let's see the line here. Jai Herbert minus 259. Kyle Nelson plus 244. I do have the strong favorite here, and Jai Herbert winning in London. I expect him to get it done, and I'm banking on KO over Kyle Nelson. Next fight of the night, Muhammad Mokaev versus Charles Johnson. It's Mokaev all day. He's one of those guys that I think is going to be a problem at flyweight very soon. He's nearly 22. He's still only 21. He's got a few days left until he's 22 years of age, and he looks like a monster. I think he's a special fighter. He's got really good stand-up. He's quick with his kicks, explosive, will throw the flying knees. And I mean, the submission game is extremely dangerous. You got championship-level wrestling, championship-level jiu-jitsu. This is the guy right now at flyweight that I think has a legit chance to make his mark. And like, maybe, I don't know if he's going to be the youngest champion ever, because he's almost 22 and he'd need 1 year. Like, he would need to get like 3-4 fights in to get a title shot, because I think he's a little bit of a ways away from rankings here, especially fighting a guy like Charles Johnson making his debut. Johnson's not an easy fight, though. He's a stance-switching kickboxer, does have pro boxing experience. I like the stand-up game from him. He's definitely not an easy fight. He's got a wrestling base. He's got good front kicks, solid hands, bit of pop. I like the left hook. I just feel like Mokaev is going to submit him in the first round, and it's not going to be close. And in the last fight, Charles Johnson had a really weird haircut. Let's see if he brings that to the UFC, because that's maybe worse than, I think probably worse than Vitor's OG cut. I think that we're going to see Mokaev win, and I think he's going to lock up a submission. And I'm saying first round over Charles Johnson. Now, looking at the lines, Mokaev is a disgustingly wide favorite, minus 470. Charles Johnson plus 400. We'll ride Mokaev to win by submission. Super wide favorite, though. We'll see what that sub prop drops at later on in the week. Next matchup is Makwan Amirkhani and Jonathan Pearce. I am actually going with Makwan Amirkhani, which is something that's not super common for me. I've picked against him a lot, and I've been wrong, in the past, but I've been right a lot. This matchup here, I like Jonathan Pearce's wrestling and pressure, but Makwan Amirkhani does wrestling really well, does submissions extremely well. Gas tank, questionable, but do I see Jonathan Pearce running through Makwan Amirkhani's ground game? Like, not really. I see Jonathan Pearce maybe able to land takedowns. Amirkhani scrambles. I think he can get dominant position on the floor. I think him and Jonathan Pearce are in an interesting spot, but I actually think that Pearce makes some kind of mistake shooting, getting overzealous looking for takedowns on Makwan, who's a super dangerous grappler, and I'm going to bank on Mr. Finland, Makwan Amirkhani, to win by submission. I'm calling it. I think he gets the sub here. I mean, you can't doubt the submission skills of Amirkhani, especially against a guy who wants to fight on the floor against Jonathan Pearce. This is Makwan's fight to me, and I like this matchup for him. I do think he wins, and he's a dog, a good size one, plus 196. Jonathan Pearce minus 191. I'm going Makwan Amirkhani with the upset win by submission. Next fight of the night, Nathaniel Wood versus Charles Rosa. I like Nathaniel Wood in this fight, but we have to acknowledge he's fighting Charles Rosa, who's fought at lightweight. Nathaniel Wood jumping up from 135. His last fight was 140, but this is a fight against a bigger guy. I mean, he gives up 3 inches in height. The reach is the same. Charles Rosa, he's lost, past, 3 of 4, but he's still like a decent fighter. I mean, you look, he gets a win over James on a close split. Damon Jackson beats him. TJ Brown beats him. Darek Minner beats him. He had that Kevin Aguilar split decision. Rosa does get beat up on the floor a lot. Here's the thing. He's fighting Nathaniel Wood, who's primary more striker. I do think Wood's takedown defense will be capable, and he'll be able to stop Rosa trying to get him to the mat, because Charles Rosa does have a really good ground game. But Nathaniel Wood's striking, how does that match up with Rosa? I think it's more competitive maybe than some people will think. Let's see what the lines are looking like. I need to see it. Nathaniel Wood is a minus 437 favorite. Charles Rosa is plus 392. That's crazy to me. I don't think that Wood should be more than a minus 200. Yeah, he's really good. He's talented, but he's coming up a weight class. He's fighting an experienced guy in Rosa. I'm picking Wood on the cards, but I don't like those odds at all. I think if you're betting it, like, Rosa's not a terrible underdog here. He's in the fight. He could go distance and win a decision. He's also a Boston guy, so I got to show him some love. I'll see how I feel about this fight on the scales. Like, this is one that I definitely want to check out, see how the size difference looks. Because Wood's coming up from 35, Rosa dropping down from 55 as of recently. I know he's had a career at 45, but that's something. I'm going Wood. I'm going to pick him by a decision, but I think it's extremely competitive, and I think these lines are crazy. But Nathaniel Wood gets the win in London. Next fight of the night. Featured prelim. Marc Diakiese versus Damir Hadžović. I think Marc Diakiese wins the fight, but I don't really feel like it's an easy out. Hadžović is a pressure forward guy with solid hands. He's got good punch combinations in close range. He rips good low kicks, kind of has like a Muay Thai-esque stand-up game. I like the straight shots when he's closing the pocket. Diakiese, better distance kickboxer and definitely has that athleticism advantage. Does have sneaky wrestling in the arsenal that he used against Borashev in the last one. I don't think he'd have that type of success against Hadžović here. I think he's going to be in a bit of a fight. Diakiese from distance I like. If he can move on Hadžović and land strikes from range, I think there's a good shot that he gets the win. I'm picking Marc Diakiese by decision, but I feel like Damir Hadžović is not going to make this an easy out. Like, I feel like he's going to bring the heat. I do think he touches Diakiese a bit. Diakiese's going to be forced to fight, and I believe he'll succeed in this matchup, though. I'm going Diakiese by a decision with the distance striking, the explosiveness and speed edge, but Hadžovic's not easy to fight against. Looking at the line, Diakiese is a big favorite, minus 275. Hadžović plus 271. I think the fight's closer than the line sits. Obviously, you got an English guy in England. Maybe that's a little bit of a factor, the hometown advantage. I think he wins. He beats the nearly 36-year-old Hadžović, but it's not an easy fight. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys have not yet, make sure to smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel. It is Paul Craig versus Volkan Oezdemir. I like Paul Craig by submission. I have to bank on Paul Craig by sub. I mean, Oezdemir is really dangerous with his boxing. He hits hard. He throws a ton of power. I mean, he had moments against Magomed Ankalaev throwing big shots at him. His boxing game is real, and his power is dangerous. If Paul Craig is standing up and he gets caught by something big, it's not impossible to get slept by Volkan Oezdemir. But I feel like Craig is going to find a way to get the fight on the floor, and he's going to find a way to submit Volkan Oezdemir, who I don't think brings much of a significant grappling threat. How does his takedown defense holds up? Maybe decently, but worst case, I think Craig pulls guard, and I think he finds success from the bottom. Paul Craig by submission, and I'm saying the first round. I'm riding with Craig until things go sideways, and he's an underdog. Plus 141 is the dog. Volkan Oezdemir minus 137 is the favorite. I'm going Paul Craig for the win, and I'm saying it submission in round one. He's going to tap Volkan Oezdemir out, and Paul Craig, he's not title shot yet, but he gets a really big fight with this win. I like what I see from Paul Craig. He's fun to watch. And I love the ground game. He's one of the most, I think right now he's the most dangerous jiu-jitsu guy at light heavyweight. A lot of strikers. I mean, I guess Glover Teixeira, very dangerous. That'd be an interesting fight too. We'll see where Paul Craig goes with the win here. I expect him to beat Volkan by submission. And plus money, play that sub line. Let's cash it. Next fight, Molly McCann versus Hannah Goldy. I expect these girls to throw down for 3 rounds. I'm going to pick Molly McCann for the win. I expect a bit of a war here. McCann's definitely the better technical fighter. She's got a lot more experience. Goldy, super athletic, in great shape, built like freight trainish. Looks like she competes in bodybuilding. Decent combinations in close range from Goldy, but a bit wild at times. I feel like she's still developing. She's, what, 6-2? She doesn't even have 10 pro fights yet. She's dangerous for sure, but Molly McCann is going to be all over her with the boxing. I think she's a lot more technical and crisp. I think she puts her punches together a lot better. A little bit meaner inside too. I think she's going to have maybe not the pure physical strength edge, but like a tenacity advantage and the technical clinch grappling edge. I'm going Molly McCann for the win. I'm going to say she gets it done on the scorecards and beats Hannah Goldy. Looking at the line, McCann is a huge favorite, minus 350. Goldy plus 325. We're in London. Of course, they're throwing Molly McCann a winnable fight. They want to see her get the W in front of the hometown, and I believe she does. Molly McCann win, and we're saying it decision here. Next fight of the night, Nikita Krylov and Alexander Gustafsson. I don't know if I'm crazy, but I'm picking Gustafsson. I think he can beat Krylov. If he can stay on his feet, kickbox from range, he's technically superior to Nikita in the stand-up by a pretty wide margin. Krylov has a decent striking game, heavy kicks, good wrestling skill set. When he's on top, he's dangerous. I know the last one, Paul Craig, taps him out, but he was winning the fight. And I mean, he looked good from the top position at moments until you get caught up in a submission by Paul Craig. It's going to happen to majority of guys at light heavyweight. Gustafsson's stand-up, I think, should be on display. His movement's really good. Range is not much of an edge. He's got an 1.5 inch reach and a 2-inch height advantage. But I think from distance, Gustafsson could have some good speed, do some good. I don't know. Like, I feel like when you look at prime Gustafsson, that's one of the best light heavyweights ever. And his stand-up was top class. Now, obviously, there's been some hiccups, 3 straight losses. We can look at all of them. Loses to John Jones, forgivable. Loses to Anthony Smith, forgivable. He's a top guy. And then gets tapped out by Fabricio Verdum nearly 2 years ago at 240 pounds at heavyweight. He's back at 205. Ton of question marks. I'm banking on Gustafsson to win. I do believe he does it, but it's a concerning pick for sure with the ring rust potential, long layoff, dropping from heavyweight now. Is he motivated? Is he thinking this is the final out? We're going to find out. I think he beats Nikita Krylov here. I feel like we go the full 3, though. I'm going Gustafsson on the cards over Nikita. Gustafsson is the plus 169 underdog. Cannot wait to have him back. And I think he's live. Krylov, the minus 180 favorite. I like Gustafsson as the dog to get the win over Nikita Krylov. Featured bout of the night. Paddy Pimblett versus Jordan Leavitt, the Monkey King. Leavitt, he's tricky to deal with, but I do believe Paddy Pimblett is going to pass the test here. I'm kind of thinking second round submission for Pimblett. First round, I think it's not going to be easy to get Leavitt to the floor, but at some point, I think Paddy Pimblett will show the superior jiu-jitsu and catch the neck of Jordan Leavitt. He was caught up in that guillotine choke by Trey Ogden a bit of the last one. Leavitt's stand-up game is a bit limited, but he's difficult to deal with because he's really awkward and he throws a lot of low kicks. He's right in your face with the southpaw stance, and you know the takedown threat and the jiu-jitsu threat is always there. Paddy Pimblett is a much better athlete. I think he's a lot more dangerous with his stand-up and also on the floor quicker. I feel like he's going to catch a submission, man. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe he catches the knockout too and touches up Jordan Leavitt on the chin. If you buy into the Paddy Pimblett hype, he should win this fight. And I do think a finish is really necessary to continue that ascent straight upwards. Jordan Leavitt's not an easy out, but I think Paddy Pimblett in London passes the test. If not, he's getting twerked on by Jordan Leavitt. Look at the lines here. Paddy Pimblett minus 244. Jordan Leavitt plus 231. I'm going Paddy Pimblett win. Co-main event of the evening. Jack Hermansson, Chris Curtis. The action man takes the fight on short notice, and I'm picking him to win. I've picked against Chris Curtis way too many times, and he honestly is a very good fighter and kind of matches up really well against Jack Hermansson. Wrestling defense of Curtis is very good. Jack Hermansson has the wrestling base, looks to land takedowns, isn't super physically strong or explosive, more of that pressing wrestling style. Strong inside of the clinch. If he's on top, he'll have some success, but I don't think it's going to be easy to get on top of Chris Curtis. And I mean, he just was able to fend off Adolfo Vieira's grappling attacks. I think that Chris Curtis has the clear-cut edge in the stand-up department. I think he can land some really good punches on Jack Hermansson. The takedown defense as of right now looks really good for Chris Curtis. It's hard to pick against him, even on short notice. I'm saying that he wins, beating Jack Hermansson. How does he beat him, though? It's hard for me to say KO. I mean, Cannonier knocked him out, but Chris Curtis has the power to do so, but I wouldn't be shocked if we went longer here. I'm going to go Chris Curtis I'm saying decision, but I do think he busts the nose of Jack Hermansson up, and the Action Man legendary run in the UFC is going to continue. Minus 113, Chris Curtis is now the favorite. Hermansson plus 110 is the dog. I'm riding Chris Curtis for the win. We're going decision. I just think Jack Hermansson doesn't have the striking, and Chris Curtis has the wrestling defense to stand up with Jack Hermansson for the majority of time. I mean, maybe he'll be put up against the cage for a bit, but I don't see significant damage from there. So Chris Curtis for the win. Main event of the evening, Curtis Blaydes versus Tom Aspinall. Guys, if you haven't, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm picking Tom Aspinall, but we have to say Curtis Blaydes is going to be the most difficult fight of Aspinall's career because he has a quality boxing game from range. Curtis Blaydes can box decently. His stand-up is kind of what he's priding himself on now. Bad knockout over Chris Daukaus. Crushed him. Granted, yeah, Chris Daukaus is not Tom Aspinall level, but he's still upper echelon heavyweight. Wrestling base. Granted, he doesn't have great level changes. He still has the base of wrestling, and he still can get you down if he puts you against the cage, trips you. I mean, he can land takedowns from open, but he's not like super quick with those level changes. Curtis Blaydes on the floor, I don't see, at least on his back. I'm having a hard time seeing him getting taken down by Aspinall. Aspinall likes to mix in the takedowns with his stand-up. He's got extremely good boxing, some of the best in the UFC. He's fought as a pro boxer, and he is 1-0. Good combinations, closing distance, and I mean, he chains the takedowns in really well. It's what he did to Volkov, and then he has very good jiu-jitsu, straight arm locks him. Curtis Blaydes in this fight is going to be in a weird position because I think if he looks for takedowns, he's putting himself at risk of getting caught in some type of submission with Tom Aspinall, who's really competent with the jiu-jitsu. If he wants to just stand up, he has to stay at distance because I think it's inside fighting less definitely than Tom Aspinall's. I think there's a bit of a clear edge for Tom Aspinall with his inside fighting. I think his hands will be on display a bit. I think he's going to touch up Curtis Blaydes from close range. I think he hurts him with shots, and I think we're going to see Tom Aspinall get a KO. I'm kind of thinking second or third round. First round, I do think Blaydes will be competitive. If Aspinall can stun him with something, Blaydes may shell up, might look to over-wrestle, maybe even Aspinall getting a chance to get on top, finds the back of Curtis Blaydes and submits him. I don't think that's impossible either. A club and stub style position here where Aspinall touches the chin of Blaydes, hurts him, Blaydes spam shoots, and then Aspinall gets the back, and his jiu-jitsu is extremely good. And if Curtis Blaydes is on the floor with his back taken, how's he going to look? I think he's going to be in serious trouble. So we're going Tom Aspinall for the win inside the distance, like best bet, but I kind of feel like KO TKO, but club and sub is calling my name. I'm not going to lie to you guys. So that prop bet might be something to look at later on in the week. Aspinall is the minus 124 favorite. Curtis Blaydes, the 115 dog. Plus money on Curtis. But I'm riding Tom Aspinall. He seems like that guy. And you're also asking Blaydes to fight Aspinall in London. This is huge. I love this fight. I think with a win, Aspinall's maybe next in line for the title shot. He's extremely close, depending on John Jones, Stipe Miocic, the other marquee fighters there. Cyril Gane is fighting Tuivasa. I expect Gane to win that, but then he has the loss to Francis. So it's murky waters at the top. Most impressive winner probably gets the title shot, and I feel like fanfare, excitement, new blood, Tom Aspinall's the guy. With the win over Curtis Blaydes, I feel he's probably next in line, if not extremely close to it, and like awaiting his contendership. We're going Tom Aspinall for the win over Curtis Blaydes. We're going knockout. I think the boxing is the biggest difference maker, and the threat of the jiu-jitsu on the floor is going to limit Curtis Blaydes. UFC Fight Night London. It's a pretty solid card. 14 bouts. I think the picks are pretty good. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the picks. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. I appreciate everybody for tuning into the channel. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you haven't yet, subscribe, turn those post notifications on, and make sure to share the video too. As I said, let me know in the comments what you think of the picks, but if you don't have anything to say, but you just enjoy the content, drop a W in the chat. I'll be dropping videos all week long talking about this card and the fight companion on Saturday. Cannot wait for it. Much love, my people, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.